Hello, once again. We are back again looking at things regarding fractions. In this math tutorials, we are specifically working with mixed fractions, and that the operation here again is not addition, but this time we are looking at subtraction, okay, or the minus. The rules again, if you are adding or subtracting, says that what only add or subtract when the denominations are the same, when the denominations are really the same. In other words, that is what makes them like. They have to be the same to make them like. And don't forget that point. Whenever you see the operation addition or subtraction, you always want to be dealing with things that look alike. Okay? And it also depends on how you define things that look alike, but they have to look alike based on your definition. And the general masses must also accept that definition that it is alike, and therefore you can proceed. Okay, so without wasting the time, we have a few things written down. So strategies we'll be looking at regarding the operation minus or subtraction actually will be an extension of what we've done before. They will look very similar in most cases, except that based on the short strategies or the shortcuts that we want to use, we will modify a couple of them. Okay, so we have looked at the case where we're using the direct mix approach. We will do the same thing here. We've introduced another one I will call the indirect mix approach, and what we call the guaranteed improper approach, which we've also seen in the case of addition. So when we are talking with respect to subtraction, if we are referring to as the direct mix approach, we are actually saying that we are working with respect to the mixed form or mixed forms, okay? And that also means that what? There will be what? No borrowing. Permit me to use that word, and I will be explaining that. There will be no borrowing. So in other sense, no borrowing is required. Okay? When we come to the indirect mixed approach, again, we'll be working with the mixed form, but that means that there will be what? Some borrowing, and we will do it appropriately, okay? So again, let me write here, with respect, we are working with respect to the mixed forms, and that implies that what? Borrowing may be required. And then you have to do that with respect to a better insight. But don't forget, insight is very important. You have to be very insightful in order to what? Do that kind of thing correctly. Okay? And then the final step, which is not new to us, we said what? We'll take the mixed form or the mixed forms. What we want to do is to move it from the mixed form into the improper form. And in the improper form, we said that the top is always going to be what? Bigger than the bottom. And then from there, this time we don't add, then we what? Subtract. Okay? So it's just the operation that will change. But otherwise, we are doing what? The same thing. Okay? The next thing we also want to discuss here is that what then will be the steps to follow? Okay? So first, we are looking at what? The direct or the indirect approach. The first thing you want to do in that case is to prepare the fraction part. Okay? Don't forget, you want to prepare the fraction part first. Always prepare the fraction part first. And that holds for both cases, direct or indirect. Another important thing you also want to have in mind is that you want to avoid negative values at the top. And the way to do that, if that should be a problem, is that we go into what? The borrowing mode. And then we do that. We'll see how all these things happen as we go along. Okay? Then there is more to say. And then we said what? The second thing to have in your mind is to subtract whole numbers, whole number part. Let me put it that way. Whole number part. We want to do that second. We want to do that second, yes. But when you do that, you do it in a unique form. And in that form, we want to do what? The first term minus the second, sorry, the first top. Let me put it that way. The first top minus the second top. Maybe that help a little bit. Yeah, we'll see. But that should make the understanding clear. You want to follow this logic of doing things. So the first top minus the second top. Sorry about that. The whole number case, we are not doing the top. So just the first whole. Yes, I think that makes sense. The first whole minus the second whole. Yes. Okay. Sorry about that. And thanks for correcting me. All right. So we have the third one here. Sometimes trying to think and write at the same time. That's those who do it perfectly, I congratulate them a lot. All right. So simplify what? Results. And the way we do it is unique. And we say we do it as what? The whole part. And then we want to add what? The fraction part. Okay. Yeah, the part in a different sense. But you got what it means. Okay. All right. And don't forget that it's very, very important that you take note of the operation that is bringing them together. So we are thinking of subtraction, but guess what? The operation that is bringing the final answer together, it's what? Addition. Okay. So quickly, I will not waste your time. In the guaranteed approach, what do we want to do? In the guaranteed approach, we want to what? Change, like we did before. Terms. Yes. Here we are using the appropriate language. Terms from what? Move from mixed form, and I want to go to what? The improper form. Okay. Second thing I want to do is to what? Subtract. If that's the method I'm using, I want to subtract with what? We only subtract. If you're using this, then what? The denomination must be the same. So with what? Same denominators. Okay. All right. Maybe we have to underline something. Same denominations. Okay. And that is when you are doing the subtraction. All right. The third most important thing, you are not done until you are able to simplify or reduced to what? Lowest form or term. Okay. So once you have done that, you are good to actually conclude your answer and then move on to the next question. Okay. All right. That being said, we also want to what? Move into something else different. And here we want to be looking at what? What could be the nature? What could be the nature? The nature of questions that would be looking at, and what would be the appropriate strategies? Actually, they will be coming from the results when you process what? The first step and then the second step. Those are the things that will be leading to the unique strategies that we will be visiting. Okay. So when I look at the first and the second results, what are the things I'm actually looking at? In one sense, you may have a case where both will be what? Simple. They'll be simple enough and will not give you any much of thinking. And in that case, they'll be simple and what? Positive. Yes. Sorry. When it's simple and positive, that's the best part. In another case, your reasoning will be actually coming from the step one. What happened is that the step one may lead what? You to what? An answer 0 at the top. So let me call it 0 top. Okay, step one, where the step one leads to 0 at the top, you have to also be what? Able to process that with the unique understanding. The third thing that can also happen as you are working on this is with respect to step two. Step two. What will happen with the step two is that it leads what? Also to what? 0. And don't forget, these are what? The whole number case. Okay. So we are looking at the fraction case here with respect to fractions part. And this is referred to what? Whole number part. Okay. All right. Because we said what? Step one is the fraction part. And this step two is the whole number part. Okay, so I hope that helped. If the question is, what do you mean by step one and step two? We got it going. Okay, so don't forget that, yes, the whole number part can also lead to 0. What other possibilities we have? Step 2 may lead to what? Leads to negative number. Okay, the fact that you have a negative number means that the number is less than 0. I think that is simple enough to understand. So you're doing good. Let's keep going. There is also a possibility that you have to borrow. So when you have to borrow, some of these things may also lead to a unique case. All right. So what I quickly want to do now is we're still doing very well on time. So before I wrap this up, I just want to look at the idea quickly, and then we'll move on from there. All right. So far, so good. Awesome. So here we want to ask the question, the idea leading to what? Subtraction of mixed forms. When we are looking at the mixed forms, what is the idea? We are doing things in a very unique way, and you want to understand it in that unique sense. Otherwise, you do a hard job only to conclude in a very wrong way. And that means everything is wrong. And that is a tragedy. Okay? So we're doing this to reveal the logic why things happen the way they happen. And if you are armed with that logic, your computational skills have been taken to a different level, and you should be able to process very, very high computations as you advance in your work of math. All right. So here I want to look at a couple of things. So I want to consider 3, 1/2, subtract 2 whole number, 1/4. That's what we are given. Beautiful set of mixed fractions. What is the logic? Why do we process it the way we will be processing it? So let's not waste the time. Quickly, we will take this part here, like we did before. And in this part, what I want to do is actually rewrite it. So by definition, what do we mean? This is nothing but saying what? 3 plus 1/2. Isn't that surprising? We're talking about subtraction and we are adding. Yes. That's why the logic must make sense. So you can do what you're doing with the full confidence that, you know what, I'm doing it right because I got the basics clear. All right. So yes, that is what it means by definition. And we have looked at that before. What do we mean here? This is where most of us will get it wrong. So pay attention. What this is happening, what we are doing here is that we are also saying 2 plus 1/4. But the minus here is not going with 2 alone. It's affecting all the term that is behind it. You see that? So here, I'm putting it in a bracket, and the minus is in front of it. And what that is telling you is that to remove this bracket, I have to distribute that. Yeah, I think we did properties and arithmetics, looking at the numbers and operations and all that. One of the properties we worked with was distributive property, and therefore you can refresh yourself on that. Okay, so yeah, this is what is happening. So what therefore one will do to remove the bracket is to distribute. Okay, so we will move from here to the next phase. And how do we do that? By distributive law. Okay? Of what? Multiplication over addition. Over addition. To some extent, yes, distributive law, multiplication over what? Addition. It's telling us that there is an invisible number, 1, here. You see? So that 1 here is multiplying the entire bracket. So the sign is in front of the 1. So it's the -1 that we are distributing if we go like that. Okay. I just hope that kind of makes some sense. So if I put that invisible 1 here, I'm saying that this 1 here actually is the one that we distribute. And when we do that nicely, guess what? Things are happening the way they happen. Okay, that is what it means by using what? Distributive law, multiplication over what? Addition. That's exactly what we mean. Well, that takes a couple of minutes, so I will double up here so we can actually get this completed. What do we do from here? When we distribute that, what we are getting is that we have -2, and then we have what? It's because positive is here, so negative times positive will give you negative. 1 times 2 will be 2. Negative times positive will be negative. 1 times 1/4 will be 1/4. Okay, the multiplicative property of 1. The additive, the identity property would produce that. And we have covered all that, so I believe you are fine on that. So let's keep going. So we have that. That's to give you minus what? 1/4. Good job. So we took this, and this is what we got. Isn't that awesome? So what we want to do here now is what? Beautifully what? Process everything. So on this side, what we have here is what? 3 plus 1/2. Okay? And on this side, what we are getting is -2 minus 1/4. You see that? Because we have used it. So I am not bringing this down. I have used it in the process. So what I have is this. You see? So we got this part. And we got this part. Right? So we drop this part. And we drop this part. Because we have used everything we can possibly do. All right? I just hope that makes sense to some extent. All right? So hopefully I don't confuse you there. Now, how do we group things? We want to group terms. Terms that look more alike. So which means I'm going to put the whole numbers together and I want to put the fractions together. All right? And this is the idea why we do the things we do in the computation. So please make sure you revisit this video again. Pause it when you have to and get it very clear. All right? So in the regrouping, what am I doing? In the regrouping, I'll pick what? This whole number. And I'm going to pick what? The sign and the number. So what I'm getting here is that I have 3. And I have to bring what? The -2. When I come to this part, what am I doing? The fraction part, I'm taking what? Positive 1/2. And then I'm looking at what? Minus 1/4. So when I come here, I want to write positive 1/2 minus 1/4. Okay, let's keep going. I think we're doing well so far. So if I take this part, and I also look at this part, I've just succeeded in rewriting what I was calling the first step and the second step. And that the results of the first step and second step should be put together using addition. You see, it makes sense. Yes, that's the logic we are talking about. Is this based on this logic? We went back and do what exactly we can do and do it very effectively. Okay, so call this what? Your step number 1. And this will be what? Your step number what? Sorry about that. This will be your step number 1, and this should be your step number 2. Yes. The whole number is what we do second. So this is your second step. All right. Yeah, this can be very confusing sometimes. So make sure you revisit this and get it straight. All right. So what do we want to do? In the third stage, we are saying that what? We need to bring the two together. And when we bring the two together, guess what? It's the addition that is also coming down. All right. So don't forget the addition is coming down. And when you do that, you get what? Your third step. Let me use a different ink. Okay, don't forget that. So we have what? Our step number what? 3. All right. So this is basically what it is. You've been able to see us break down everything, and when we did the breakdown, this is what we got and this is what we got. But how we interpret this is the reason why we do what we do, and therefore this is what we are getting. We couldn't drop this directly down. Why? Because we have used it in the distributive process, and it's in the distributive process when we regroup that we are getting what? The fraction part separate, and then what? The whole part separate. And guess what? We said that we were doing what? Subtraction, and beautifully, you see the subtraction sign came in. You saw the subtraction sign came in. But when the results have to be put together, guess what? The results had to be put together with the understanding that is what? The whole number part, and then what? The fraction part. So maybe that will make it clear. Just in case I didn't write this correctly to somebody who is looking at it, this, whatever it is, should be the fraction part. Okay? And this, we are talking about the whole part. Whole number part. Just in short, sometimes I say the whole part, and I hope that makes it a little easier on you. Okay? Thank you very much, and I hope you continue to watch this, use some of this understanding, and the next video would actually do more computations. Thank you for watching.